All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I really wanted to take a step back from all of the free agency speculation, the rumors, the breaking news that we get blasted with every single day, and focus on the players that the Jets did bring in, go through the entire list, and grade every single signing, and then, of course, at the end, giving the Jets as a team a grade on how I think they've done so far through the free agency period, because as we all know, it's not over yet. There's still a ton of different guys out there that the Jets could still land. K'Wan Williams, Adoree, I mean, there's so many different guys. So hopefully we're not done yet, but let's talk about some of these acquisitions. So the first player that the Jets went out and signed, former first-round pick, former Detroit Lion, linebacker Gerald Davis. He signed a one-year contract worth $8 million. I'm going to give this move a C. It wasn't incredible, but it wasn't horrible. I like Gerald Davis as a player. I really like how he plays. He plays aggressively. He still has great upside. I like taking chances on former first-round picks, but there are some downsides. There are reasons why this move isn't, an A, a B, or even a C+. He's missed a lot of time. He just hasn't really seen a lot of football. He's only played 3 seasons, and he just hasn't been on the field. He was a questionable system fit in Detroit under Matt Patricia, so he just struggled to get in the game. You're looking at the contract, 1 year, $8 million. Yes, I like the player. Yes, I like his upside. I like how he plays the game and how he attacks the offense. But $8 million to me seems like a lot of money for a guy that hasn't really shown that much on the football field, especially when you look at some of these contracts being thrown out, like Philip Lindsay getting a 1 year $3.25 million deal. Keanu Neal got a 1 year $5 million deal. Kyle Fuller got a 1 year $9.5 million deal. So Gerald Davis, I like the player. I like the upside. I'm really excited to see what he does, but I feel like for $8 million, that's a little high. So for me, that's why I'm giving it a C. So a couple hours went by. I want to say maybe late evening, news broke that the Jets would be adding wide receiver from the Tennessee Titans, Corey Davis, signing him to a 3-year contract worth $37.5 million. I got to be honest with you, I didn't see Corey Davis joining the Jets. I didn't, right? Not in the least. I thought if the Jets were to add a wide receiver, it would have been Will Fuller. It would have been Juju Smith-Schuster. It would have been Curtis Samuel. I thought Kenny Golladay was a little bit of a pipe dream. But with all of those guys still on the board, the Jets, Joe Douglas, they opted to bring in Corey Davis on a multi-year deal. I really liked the news when it broke, but maybe an hour after, it went from liking the move to loving the move. I'm gonna give this signing a B+. I think this could be huge. This could be huge for the New York Jets. There are some flaws, and we'll get into it, but you're looking at Davis as a player right now. He has great size. He has great speed. He has great hands. He has great technique. He's coming in at a huge position of need. He has crazy upside. He was the former 5th overall pick, so the potential is there. He's coming off the best season of his career, 65 catches, 984 receiving yards, a couple of touchdown grabs as well. There's so much to like with Corey Davis, but the flip side is he's always battled with consistency, right? He's never really been, it sounds weird to say it because Corey Davis is still a really good player, but he never really lived up to being that 5th overall pick, like a, Julio Jones or an AJ Green, guys that were picked in similar ranges. Davis never really lived up to that. I remember pre-draft, he was going to be like the next Terrell Owens. Never really happened, but things are pointing up. Things are trending up. That's okay. We're not going to be asking Corey Davis to become Terrell Owens. We're not asking him to be Julio. If he turns into that, that's fantastic. But if Davis can mirror what he did last season or even slightly get better, that would be a huge benefit for this Jets offense that was completely lackluster last year. Now, it does average out to around $12 million annually. That's kind of high, especially when you're looking at, guys like Juju Smith-Schuster signing a 1 year, $8 million deal. You can push back and say, hey man, 12 million is really high for a guy that's battled with consistency. So at the end of the day, I'm giving this a B+. I love the move. It's crazy signing, above average for sure. The reason why it's not an A, an A- is just because we don't know exactly who Corey Davis is at this point. Things are looking good. He has the potential. He can do great things. The one thing that kind of eases my mind a little bit, gives me some peace of mind, is that Joe Douglas, this offense, Mike LaFleur, they opted for Corey Davis over the field, over Fuller, over Samuel, over Juju, all these different guys. Corey Davis was brought in first. He was brought in first. So I'm assuming we have a plan. Cannot wait to see how it all plays out. I mean, his potential is through the roof. It's insane. After the Davis signing, it was a pretty quick transition because the Jets then agreed to terms with one of my favorite players in the entire NFL, former Cincinnati Bengal defensive end Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson goes out and signs a 3-year contract worth $45 million. Big money for Big Carl. Okay, I loved him at Auburn. You're looking at Lawson right now. I would say he is the headliner of the entire Jets free agency class so far. You're looking at what Lawson can provide to this Jets team. He brings speed, he brings strength, he brings power, he brings an ability to get after the quarterbacks, 32 quarterback hits. That number is insanely high. And of course, the sack number is low, 5.5. That's where you can kind of push back at me. But all in all, man, I'm giving this signing an A. In my book, this is a perfect signing. He fits the system perfectly. A high motor player, high energy player off the edge, a traditional 4-3 edge rusher that can consistently get into the backfield. When was the last time the Jets had somebody like that? I can't think of one. I have to go back years and years and years. So A signing for me. You can push back at me and say 5.5 sacks is not good enough. It's not good enough. 32 quarterback hits is great, but what about the sacks? The sacks are actually he's ending the play. That's fair. It's a completely fair point. Of course you would want, 10 sacks, 11 sacks or something like that. And that's why it's not an A+ for me. It's because that sack number is a little bit low, but with a brand new team, a brand new coaching staff, brand new personnel around Lawson. So I think this signing will pay off really, really well when it's all said and done. So that concluded day one. Day one was absolutely epic. It was so much fun. Guys were flying off the board left and right. Day two rolls around. We saw Hunter Henry go to the Pats, Shaq Griffin go to the Jags. But outside of those two moves, it was a pretty quiet day. Let's be honest, it was quiet. Not much was going on up until maybe toward the tail end of the night. The Jets brought in cornerback / special teams gunner Justin Hardy, signing him to a 3-year contract, 3 years, worth $6.75 million. I'm going to give this move a B-. I think Hardy, number one, he's a great player and he plays with high effort, high energy player, and he's produced with the Saints these past couple of seasons as that gunner. He's been one of the better gunners in the entire league. I talked to a couple Saints fans after that signing, and they were all sad to see him go. Typically it's just people think like football, like quarterback, defense, offense. Nobody really thinks of special teams gunner, but every Saints fan that I reached out to is just like, you guys will like him. He plays with a lot of heart, plays with a lot of energy. He will make plays. He will wrap up an open field. Another thing to note, the Jets signed him on day 2 of legal tampering period. Day 2. We signed him to a multi-year contract, 3-year deal. So that tells me that the Jets identified Hardy early in the process and we have a plan for him. We like his skill set, we like what he brings to the table, and I'm really, really hoping Hardy can be a leader for this team. So that's why I'm giving this move a B-. So this next one is actually my favorite signing that the Jets made. Over Carl Lawson, over Corey Davis. Yes, I love both of those signings, but I love this move. The Jets agreed to terms with wide receiver of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Keelan Cole, 1 year, $5.5 million. I remember when the news officially broke, people were saying who is this guy? This isn't Will Fuller. This isn't Juju Smith-Schuster. Keelan Cole can play. Let me just tell you that right now. This guy, I believe, throughout the course of preseason, throughout the course of camp, all that good stuff leading up to September, he's going to become a fan favorite. People will know who Keelan Cole is. I'm giving this move an A. I love this signing. I'm from Florida, so I've seen a lot of Jaguars football. I've been to tons of Jaguars games within the past couple of seasons. Keelan Cole's underrated, man. He really, really is. He has great hands. He's, solid size, 6'1", around 200 pounds. Electrifying playmaker. He can hurt you down the field. He can hurt you in the short passing game. Works really well on the sidelines, right? Just on the boundary. I don't know what it is, but this signing to me stands out. I'm not saying he's a top 10 or 15 wide receiver or anything like that, but I feel like Cole will emerge. He will emerge this season, and I cannot wait to see it. So for me, it's an A. Really, the only reason why I don't have it as an A+ is because it's a 1-year contract. If this was a 2-year deal, it would have been an A+ for me. But all in all, I love this signing, Keelan Cole to the Jets. So funny enough, as I was wrapping up that Keelan Cole video, news broke that the Jets were bringing in guard/center Dan Feeney from the LA Chargers. 1 year, $3.5 million. I'm going to give this move a C-. I don't really like what Dan Feeney has done over the past couple of seasons. I don't really think he's lived up to being that, mid-round pick. I loved him in college. He was dominant in college. As a college player, I loved him. And believe it or not, I actually wanted the Jets to draft him way back when. But when you look at his time with the Chargers, it just hasn't been there. Now, he's coming in at a huge position of need, so that's a plus, right? We need guards. Maybe he works out. He still has that high upside. He was a middle round pick for a reason. I like what Dan Feeney can do, how he projects. He was kind of a fan favorite with the the Chargers fans, but he never really went out and just dominated. He never went out and just put up consistent, solid performances. Hopefully he does that with the Jets, but I don't really see Dan Feeney as that guaranteed starter. I see this more of kind of like a depth move, essentially, especially after letting Pat Elflein go as well. So C- for me. The next free agency news actually broke while I was at a gas station, so I had to do that video in the car. But the Jets brought in safety Lamarcus Joyner, signing him to a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. I'm giving this move a B. I love this move. Incredible value. If you look at Lamarcus Joyner, number one, what he can do, right? He's versatile. He can play free safety. He can play nickel corner. He can move all around the secondary. He's seen a lot of football. He's had success. He's had, really good years. He's had some bad years. Overall, Lamarcus Joyner, yes, he's up there in age, but he was a beast at Florida State. He actually one of the OGs of the St. Louis Rams. He wasn't one of these LA Rams. He was a St. Louis Ram picked by Jeff Fisher, believe it or not. And Jeff Fisher has an eye for defensive backs. I know he gets a lot of slack, like, oh, he sucks, 8-8, whatever. But I've always respected Jeff Fisher. I've always loved what he does on the defensive side of the football. And when you look back at his defensive backs, he always puts out good DBs, whether it's safeties or corners. But Joyner did some pretty good things with the Rams early. It wasn't until maybe 2017, 2018 where he really started to come onto the scene, like he was a playmaker for the Rams defense. He was doing some really good things. Hits the open market, signs a huge deal with the Vegas Raiders, 4 years, $42 million, and didn't really live up to it. Just kind of never really found that role within the Raiders defense. They forced him to play nickel corner. Wasn't really a fit. He can play nickel corner, but just to completely just erase free safety off of Joyner's, locker and just say, no, you are a nickel corner now. I don't really think that was the best move. Now, Joyner is up there in age, but at the end of the day, it's not like he's 36. It's not like this was, Ed Reed coming to the Jets like a couple of years ago with Rex Ryan. Joyner will impact this team. And when you watch Robert Saleh's defense, he consistently throws out 3 safety looks. We brought back Marcus May. We have Ashton Davis. Now we're bringing in Lamarcus Joyner, and we haven't even hit the draft yet. So I think the safety position for now is solid. 1 year, $4.5 million. You cannot beat that, especially if you go off of his Rams tape. You will be surprised. So I'm hoping that everything works out. I'm hoping that he's a good fit for the defense, but I really feel like Robert Saleh having that firsthand look at Lamarcus Joyner, because Saleh was in San Fran and Joyner was with the LA Rams. Obviously, he's seen a lot of Joyner football. I think there could be a method to the madness here. This could work. This could benefit big time. But again, 1 year contract worth $4.5 million. I'm giving it a B. Next up is Buffalo Bills tight end Tyler Kroft. We signed him to a 1 year contract worth $2 million. I'm going to give it a C. It's not some incredible move. It's not going to propel the Jets to the playoffs, but it's also not a bad move, right? Not in the least. Super minimal contract. It doesn't make the team worse in any way. I actually think Kroft is a slight upgrade over Ryan Griffin. Really good in the red zone, really good in blocking in the pass game. I think Tyler, and by the way, he also has the potential to do some damage in the pass game as well. We've seen that before back in Cincinnati. He had one season where he snagged 7 touchdowns. So Kroft has done it before. He has sure hands. Again, not a great move, not a horrible move, just average C for me. And last but not least, defensive tackle from the New Orleans Saints, Sheldon Rankins, 2 years, $17 million. I love this move. I love it. I'm giving it a B+. The reason why I'm not giving it an A is because of the injuries, and really the injuries hindering his production over the last couple of seasons. It's not just some one-time thing. It's ankle problems. He's had an Achilles issue. He's had a knee issue. So that's kind of... you can never truly feel 1,000% comfortable with the guy knowing that you've had a speckled past as far as injuries are concerned, but all signs are pointing that Rankins is healthy. He's going to be 100% full go for the season. He had a bunch of free agency suitors. The Jets signed him to a 2-year contract worth $17 million, so that tells me that the Jets feel pretty confident in where he's at, because, I mean, Joe Douglas has been pretty frugal with his contracts. Typically, he likes to sign these guys to 1-year contracts. Like that was the story last season, and even a little bit this season too, with guys like Lamarcus Joyner, Croft, all these different players, 1-year deals. But Rankins got a 2-year deal. So I think Rankins is going to be healthy. He's a great system fit. You're going to be pairing him up right next to Quinnen Williams. Both guys can dominate one-on-one matchups. The assumption would be when Quinnen gets doubled, Rankins can easily win one-on-one, and then vice versa. Both guys can do a lot of damage rushing the passer from the interior. I cannot wait to see Quinnen Williams in this new defense as well, but I guess that's beside the point. So all in all, I love the Sheldon Rankins signing. B+ for me. It's just not an A because of the injuries, but all in all, incredible signing for me personally. So overall, I'm giving the Jets a B-. I think the Jets have done a really good job of adding players that fit the scheme. They've done a good job of adding high energy, high effort, big motor players. That's something that I felt like the Jets lacked last season. I think we've added young players with high upsides, guys with a lot of potential, which goes hand in hand with Robert Saleh and his ability to coach up guys on the defensive side of the football and maximize players' talents. So all that stuff is really, really good. We've also addressed some weaknesses. Wide receiver, huge issue. Huge issue. Keelan Cole and Corey Davis, fantastic. We already have Denzel Mims and Crowder. That's incredible. Carl Lawson, we needed edge rushers for this new system. We have yet to find that other one, but Carl Lawson is that's a great piece to start off the first season in the new defense with. And who knows, we still have other guys out there like Jadeveon Clowney, like Kerry Hyder. Who knows what'll happen, but we addressed edge, we addressed wide receiver. We have the safety position figured out. I mean, kind of going into free agency, we didn't know what was happening with May, tagged, extension, letting him walk. All we really had was Ashton Davis and then just unproven guys on the roster. Are we going to have to rely on the draft? But no, May is back, and we brought in Lamarcus Joyner. B- for me. The reason why it's not an A+, an A, or even just a B for that matter, was because I felt like, well, two things really. Number one, I felt like the biggest issue for this team, the biggest priority heading into free agency was to fix the interior of the offensive line, because number one, it was atrocious last season, and then number two, the assumption would be next season we're going to have a young quarterback at the helm, whether it's Darnold, Wilson, Lance, Fields, or even Deshaun Watson, who's still relatively young. We need to fix this part of the offensive line because we have the tackle position figured out. That's such a luxury, but let's fix the interior. And there were so many guys available. Gabe Jackson, Joe Tooney, Corey Linsley at center, David Andrews at center. Who else? Andrew Norwell from Jacksonville. There was an opportunity to potentially land Norwell. Kevin Zeitler, couldn't land him either. We missed out on a lot of guys. So for the Jets to add some pieces, right? Wide receiver, great. Edge, great. But for the biggest, it's kind of like going to the grocery store, needing one thing and leaving. You got some nice stuff, but it's like getting home and you forgot the one thing that you needed. Interior offensive line. We did not do a single thing. I don't feel... And by the way, we also lost the insurance policy in Pat Elflein, who we picked up from waivers from Minnesota last season. He comes to the Jets and actually does pretty well, really good in the run game, exceeds expectations, and then we don't bring him back. And we don't bring him back. It's not like we brought in Tooney, so it's like, oh yeah, we can't afford Elflein. It's no, we're just not. We just haven't done anything. And then as far as the cornerback position is concerned, this is a position where I feel like it's thin. It's very important in the system, but the only Reason why it's not that big of a deal is because there's still so many guys out there. Maybe I'm just a little irritated because Kyle Fuller signed a 1-year contract under $10 million, and he's one of, he's a top 10 corner in the league. But there's still, tons and tons of guys out there. Brian Poole's still out there. K'Wan Williams is still out there. I know the latest speculation today is that the Jets and Richard Sherman are, that was just completely made up to begin with, and there's no connection there, but he's still out there. Adoree Jackson's still out there. Steven Nelson from Pittsburgh. There's still a lot of options, whereas the interior of the offensive line, the market's pretty much dried up. We could go get Trey Turner from, who's released from LA. That would be an upgrade, but we had multiple opportunities to get better at those positions, and we didn't. So now we're gonna have to rely on the draft. So it is what it is. B-, still a great grade overall. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I really want to hear your grades for all of these players as well, including the overall grade, because that's I feel like the really important one. So thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.